Practice makes perfect, as they say. But what does that really mean? How do you practice so that you can master a skill? The first thing to understand is that talent is only a small part of the equation. Sure, it might help you get started, but it won't take you all the way. To really master something, you need to put in the hard work. That means finding the right way to practice. It's not just about repeating the same thing over and over again. That might help you get better at first, but to really improve, you need to focus on specific areas that need improvement. You also need to make sure you're practicing in the right way. That means working on your technique and form so that you're doing this skill correctly. If you don't do this, you'll just be ingraining bad habits that will be hard to break later on. In this video, we'll explore the secret of mastering anything: deliberate practice. We'll see how this type of practice can help us improve our skills. Whether we're trying to learn a new language, get better at basketball, or become a more successful writer, we'll also discuss some of the challenges that come with deliberate practice and how to overcome them. Welcome to Coffeepo.com, where you learn finance every day. If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please do, as we bring valuable information every day to keep you informed and updated about finances. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get notified of our new videos. One practice with purpose. What do you know about Kobe Bryant? In today's society, we often look at the top performers and high achievers and see them as gods. We forget about all the hard work and dedication they put in to get to where they are. Kobe Bryant is a perfect example of this. Throughout his career, Kobe never faltered with his practice and always practiced with a purpose. There's a story from the 2012 Olympics that really shows who Kobe was as a player and person. A trainer named Robert was working with Team US in Las Vegas to prepare them for the Olympics. Around 4:15 a.m., Kobe called him and asked him to help him with some conditioning work. Robert got ready and headed to the gym, where he found Kobe drenched in sweat. He had already been exercising and practicing on his own. After Robert arrived, they did conditioning training for an hour and 15 minutes, then strength training for 45 minutes. After that, Robert left while Kobe continued to practice. When they met again for the actual training of the team, Robert approached Kobe and asked him when he had finished his training. Kobe told him that he just had. He wanted to do 800 shots, and he did. You see, Kobe wasn't just exercising for the sake of exercising. He had a very clear goal in mind to make 800 jump shots. That is deliberate practice. It's not just practice for the sake of it or mindless repetition. It's having a clearly defined purpose, a name to improve your performance. This story perfectly captures the dedication and commitment that it takes to be a top performer. You can't become great overnight. It takes time and hard work. When we look at the people at the top of the mountain, we forget about all the work they put in to get there. Experts are made, not born. Bruce Lee once said, "I fear not the man who practices 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." When it comes to practice, feedback is key in order to improve. Kobe Bryant knew this, which is why he always sought out help in his training. Feedback allows you to see where your weaknesses are and how to improve upon them. Without feedback, you run the risk of developing bad habits that can be difficult to break. When practicing something, whether it is shooting free throws or playing the piano, it is important to be mindful of all the elements involved. This means paying attention to your technique and making sure you are applying enough strength. For example, feedback can help you with this by providing an outside perspective. Learning something on your own can be great, but it is often more effective with guidance and feedback. This is because you might make the same mistakes over and over without even realizing it. With feedback, you can learn from your mistakes and correct them. In conclusion, feedback is essential for practice in order to improve. It allows you to see where your weaknesses are and how to fix them. Without feedback, you may develop bad habits that can be difficult to break. So next time you are practicing something, make sure to get some feedback in order to maximize your learning. 3. The sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy is a very real phenomenon that can cause us to make some pretty irrational decisions. We've all been there before, stuck in a relationship or a job that we know isn't going anywhere. but we continue to invest time and energy into it because we don't want to admit that we've wasted our time. But the truth is, sometimes it's better to just cut your losses and move on. The sunk cost fallacy occurs when we factor in the time and money we've already spent on something when making a decision about whether or not to continue with it. We think that because we've invested so much, we can't just quit now. But the reality is, sometimes it's better to just start over from scratch. For example, let's say you've been in a relationship for 5 years, but you're not really happy. You've invested so much time and energy into the relationship, and you don't want to admit that it's not working. But if you're not happy, why stay? Just because you've been together for a long time doesn't mean you should stay in a situation that isn't making you happy. The same goes for jobs. Just because you've been working at a job for a long time doesn't mean you should stay there if you're not happy. If you're considering a career change, don't let the sunk cost fallacy hold you back. Yes, you may have invested a lot of time and energy into your current job, but that doesn't mean you can't find something better. The sunk cost fallacy can also apply to big decisions, like whether or not to continue with a project that is over budget. We often think that because we've already invested so much time and money into a project, we can't just abandon it. But sometimes, it's better to just start over from scratch than to continue down a path that is not working. The next time you find yourself stuck in a situation that you know isn't going anywhere, take a step back and consider whether or not the sunk cost fallacy is at play. If it is, then it may be time to cut your losses and move on. 4. Applying deliberate practice in your life. There's no one formula for success, but there are some principles that can help you achieve greatness. One of these is deliberate practice. Deliberate practice is a type of practice that is specifically designed to improve your performance. It is not just going through the motions, it is focused, intentional, and aimed at improving your specific weaknesses. If you want to be great at something, you can't just rely on talent. You need to put in the hard work and practice consistently. This is what separates good from great. Pablo Sarasate, a Spanish violinist, practiced 14 hours every day for 37 years. People consider him a genius now, but that's all thanks to his arduous work. Great performance requires hard work and repetition. The best way to become great at something is to practice regularly. This applies to any activity, whether it is a sport, musical instrument, or simply learning a new skill. The more you practice, the better you will become at it. It is important to break down your activity into smaller tasks. This will help you to stay focused and motivated. For example, if you are trying to learn a new skill, start by practicing for just a few minutes each day. Gradually increase the amount of time you spend practicing each day. Set goals and persevere. This means that you need to be committed to your goal and be willing to put in the hard work required to achieve it. Feedback is also important. Get feedback from others on your progress and use it to improve your performance. With deliberate practice, you will see your performance improve dramatically. It takes time and commitment, but it is worth it. Remember to start small and take things one step at a time. Bonus: many people believe that the first 20 hours of practicing a skill are the hardest. However, author Josh Kaufman suggests that this is actually the most crucial time period. He recommends focusing on small goals rather than trying to master the skill from the beginning. By taking the time to learn the basics, you will be well on your way to becoming an expert. Do you use deliberate practice in your own life? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. That's all for today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more videos from our channel, subscribe and make sure to turn on the bell icon.